How's it going, OnlineBookClub.org? Adam Bongiovanni back here with another Thursday video. Now today's a little bit different. We're going to be interviewing one of our Book of the Month authors, the author of Raven's Peak, Lincoln Cole. Alright, Lincoln, thank you so much for coming on the show. We truly appreciate it. I feel like I know you because I've promoted your book so much on the Online Book Club social media, so it's good that I'm finally getting to talk to you person to person.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So you were the Book of the Month author in April, the author of Raven's Peak, and the author of the World on Fire book series. So maybe just give the viewers a little background on Raven's Peak and the World on Fire book series as a whole.
Alright, yeah, so when I actually started writing that series, basically the end of the first book, there was like a scene at the end in the little town of Raven's Peak that I really wanted to write, and then I kind of like worked backwards from there.
Oh, wow.
To flesh out the first book, and then ended up just like, the series just, pretty much from the second book on, kind of took complete different turns than I expected. Like, I wasn't really planning on the whole council, everything like that happens in the second and third books. When I first started writing it, those kind of like took on a life of their own. And then I actually, from that I ended up, so I just finished a series that the final book of the new one comes out on January 30th.
Okay, wow.
And that one's like set 20 years previously, but like with similar characters, kind of like fills in a little bit of the background of the council and Arthur.
Oh, cool. Wow.
And then so I've got like more books planned for after the World on Fire series too, to pick up where everything left off after Raven's Rise.
The world you've created is so in depth at this point that you probably almost feel like you're living in this fantasy world that you've created.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun actually for me because so the reason I wanted to kind of put time gaps and like get different characters is each time I like pick the book back up and try something different, I can like do an entirely different genre, focus more on like the horror or the action.
Like
my newer series is like focused a lot more like, especially in the first book, in horror.
Wow. Okay, so now let's go to the beginning, because I was actually doing some research and like I said, I've promoted your books before, but you released the whole book series in less than 1 year. So did you write all of these books like back to back to back? And I know you said that you started at the end of the first book and kind of worked your way back, but did you just not take any breaks with writing the World on Fire book series?
Well, so I wrote that book series pretty much, straight back to back with each book. And then so what happened was, because I submitted the first book through Kindle Scout, so I had the book done probably 6 months before it actually was published, maybe even more than that. So while I was waiting for the whole like Kindle Scout process and then the publishing process, I wrote pretty much the second book and part of the third book. So I did write over about a year for it, but then I just like kind of like waited and released all at once.
So do you think that since you had this kind of momentum driving you, where you were really like just dedicated to the story and dedicated to these characters, and I feel like there's probably some authors who do take breaks, but since you didn't have those breaks, do you think it helped the kind of the flow of the story?
I think it definitely helped keep it all straight. Yeah. I do take a lot of breaks checking out different like different book series. Like I have science fiction space opera series I work on sometimes, and then I also have a couple like literary books and a couple other things, techno thrillers. So I do take breaks between different books. That series though, I wanted to get all of it done before I'd like forgotten about the characters and forgotten about the story. So I basically didn't take any breaks between that book for writing other things.
And it seems to have, whatever you did, it worked, because I was just like doing some research and kind of thinking of some questions to ask you. So I was on your Amazon page. You have 322 customer reviews on Raven's Peak, and you have what is it, like almost a 5-star rating? Isn't that crazy to think about, that many people have rated your books that high?
Yeah, it's like all of my other books are like less than 100. I think one other book is almost to 100, and like reviews are the hardest part of like writing, getting actual reviews from people, because a lot of people might read your book and they might, like, well, I've got an opinion about it, or I thought it was great, or they might even reach out to me and say, I thought your book was really good. Yeah. But actually getting those reviews translated onto Amazon is the hard part.
You did it though. And the same thing with Online Book Club. There's hundreds and hundreds of positive reviews on there. So how does that feel when you create this world, right? And you create these characters and people fall in love with them after you mold this world. How does that make you feel as a writer?
The biggest thing of like doing the actual writing process is such like a lonely thing because you have your idea of what you want it to be. You have your characters. You're kind of like, you know, putting it together, playing with it, writing out the scenes, and you have no idea what people are going to think after it's published. And then, like, the hardest part is when you actually get nobody reading it. Like, you know, when I first started actually getting reviews, I was like, oh, I just don't want negative reviews. I don't want bad reviews. And then now I'm more like, I just don't want meh reviews. I don't want people who are like, oh, yeah, I read the book. Okay. You know, I'm like, at least have an opinion, you know? Like, give me something.
I love it. So you want passion. You want someone, whether they love it, they hate it, you want someone to care about it.
Exactly, yeah. That's the thing is, like, finding people who are, like, actually interested in and want to, like, support the books.
Exactly.
Is really nice.
The fact that you really have this readership and these people coming in is commendable. But this isn't, it's not like you just started writing recently. Your first book was published at the age of 14. You got to tell me about this.
Yeah, so that was basically, so I did a lot of sports in high school. And during my like, freshman to sophomore year, and then again immediately after, I had 2 knee surgeries.
Oh, wow.
And so I went from busy all the time to having tons of free time. So I basically just did what I wanted to do, and I ended up writing 2 different books that were both like self-published. But so they were vanity published. My parents actually ended up paying for them, and they have like hundreds of copies in their basement to attest to it. But they were so bad. They were so bad. I did not know what I was doing. I had nobody in the family who like knows anything about writing or publishing or anything. But it was a lot of fun. Like, you know, when I was a little kid and like having a book published.
But I'm sure, I feel like, of course, like with any profession, the more experience, the better. Also, you have 20 published books on 3 different pen names. So I'm always curious with authors when they choose a pen name or why they go from pen name to pen name. What made you go from one to the other to the next?
So the first one that I had was the one that I wrote when I was 14.
Okay.
And I didn't stick with that one strictly because like it just wasn't a very good pen name, and it was more kind of like wanting to distance myself from the fact of, you know, I didn't know what I was doing back then, playing around with it. And I had 3 books released under that pen name. Then I did another pen name for, like, nonfiction books, because I didn't want to put fiction with nonfiction.
Makes sense.
I actually probably should have, because I do a couple, like, literary fiction books, and I probably should have even put those under a different pen name, because you get, like, it gets confusing for readers where they're like, well, I'm used to reading his horror books. What is, you know, this book about, you know, alcohol abuse or, like, loss and grief or, you know, things like that. It gets confusing. But actually, one of the, like, the nicest reviews I ever got was, like, somebody who had read all my horror books, loved the horror books, and then picked up one of my literary books that's about, like, social issues in the United States. And he was like, after the first, like, couple pages, he was like, I was totally not going to finish this book. And then he said he finished it and loved it.
Wow.
And thought it was one of my best books, but it's, like, not even remotely close to the same genre, theme, style, or anything. Wow. And it was nice to see that, like, somebody could actually be a fan of one thing and then actually enjoy something else, too.
Doesn't that kind of make you feel accomplished as a writer when you could write with such broad topics, one topic being over here and the other one being on the complete other end of the spectrum, and someone who's not even a fan of one of those genres enjoys it? I feel like that validates you as a writer and shows that you're talented at what you do.
Yeah, and it's especially rewarding because, like, I can write a horror book in a couple months, no problem, and, like, just tons of ridiculous ideas for writing different horror books or thrillers. But, like, the literary books take years to actually make because they're just so much more, like, detail-oriented and, like, you got to get it right. So it's nice when people like those because then it's like that actually means, you know, they got something out of it as opposed to just, like, got to enjoy the story. So,
Lincoln, we talked a little bit before about what you're writing now in the series you have coming up, but what's next for you?
So, like I was saying earlier, I just finished up, actually today, it's funny, I just finished it today, the 3rd book in my new series, which is it begins with the Everett exorcism and then goes to the Vatican children, and then the final book is the Bishop's Legacy. So I just got the edits back, got everything finished, finalized it, and loaded it to Amazon, and then that one comes out on the 30th. And that series is, again, another horror series, fits in with the whole world on fire. Then my newest project is going to be actually a completely different series, a techno thriller.
Oh, wow.
So So I've been really wanting to write a book about, have you ever heard of like the CRISPR gene editing?
Yes, I have.
So I'm a huge fan of CRISPR gene editing and all of like the implications of what it is going to mean and what it already means. I mean, things like, you know, they're using it to already like change the DNA structure of like animals, changing dogs, changing cats, all kinds of things. And then on top of that, like what they're going to be able to do for like in the next couple of years for Alzheimer's and things like that. But it goes way farther than that. There's like a lot of really, in my mind, bad things people can do with this that we don't really even think about. You know, like we're so caught up in like the positive parts of it and like the great things that can happen that we've never really stopped to think about what can go wrong with it. So that's what my next book is. It's called CRISPR. And so it's basically about gene editing techniques being used without people's consent for the specific purpose of giving people genetic defects that then they can have to pay to like get fixed.
Wow, my mind has been blown. So when does CRISPR come out?
So it actually won't come out until the end of the year, probably around September.
Okay.
What I did was this time around I'm going to try something a little different from what I usually do launching books, and I'm doing a Kickstarter campaign.
Oh, cool.
And so like I'm using the Kickstarter campaign to like try to get funding for like paying for editing and then paying for like graphic design and getting really professional like graphics and design and marketing set up for the book so that I can hopefully, you know, get a lot of early publicity for it and make it a really big launch.
Wow.
So yeah, so like I wanted to try something different this time, and I'm doing it through Insta Freebies, like running a course for it.
Oh, cool.
So we're doing like a beta test for the whole Insta Freebie course to like try and get books off the ground using this new platform.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. So you got to send me just email to me after this the link to the Kickstarter. We'll post that with the YouTube video, post that with the Facebook live chat, obviously, and we'll get that out there because just hearing you talk about it, whether it was a 30 seconds or a minute, you could tell how passionate you were about it, and it proposed so many new thoughts in my head that I'm very excited for this book. We also would love to have you on the show when the book gets released, whether it's September or the end of the year, and you can come back talk about that book as well.
Definitely, that sounds like a lot of fun.
No, for sure. And Lincoln, thank you so much for coming on the show today. We truly appreciate it. I always say this, but every author I talk to has something new to offer and something new to show the legions of readers out there. So thank you so much for your passion to write and to produce this amazing content for readers like myself.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
No problem. We're also going to send you a hardcover of the owner of OnlineBookClub.org, Scott Hughes' book, Justice. So we'll send it over to you as well. If you have some time amongst all of your busy writing, because I feel like you're writing 800 books at once. You're a writeaholic. So if you have any time to read a little bit, we'll send it over to you as well.
All right. Thank you.
No problem, Lincoln. Thank you so much, and we'll talk soon.
All right.
Have a good one, man. Bye-bye. So guys, that was the interview with Lincoln Cole, author of Raven's Peak and author of the World's on Fire book series. You can get all of that down below. Lincoln was also talking about a Kickstarter for one of his next books, CRISPR. That link is also down below. The thing, and I always like to talk and kind of like evaluate the conversation I had with the authors. The thing I learned most from Lincoln, as an author, if you bust your butt and push a bunch of content out there and push a bunch of quality material out there, people will come find your material. It's exactly what happened with Raven's Peak. 322 Amazon reviews, and because he published book after book and did everything to get his name out there and everything to prove how good of a writer he was and everything to build this following of readers. He's a writeaholic. I respect him so much, and I think it's so cool he went from genre to genre. I think that proves versatility and diversity as an author, and it really proves how talented some of these authors are. Lincoln is an amazing guy, an amazing writer, and I recommend him to everyone watching. Hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Thank you so much for all the likes, comments, and the love. I appreciate it. Last week's users of the week, I want to make sure I get these names right. Salty Sandra and Nisua Selhi. I probably got that wrong. Nisuha Selhi. Thank you guys, both of you, so much. I truly appreciate it. If you want to be next week's user of the week, give me a comment below on what you want me to ask our next bookish interview. Hope to see you guys next Thursday or whenever we release another live show, author interview. See you guys then. Peace!